Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio. And now, here's our host, Dr. Vanessa Anceloni.
Welcome, dear listener, to Kardec Radio. Today we're going to talk about healing from depression, and our guest is Douglas Bloch. Before we talk about this, let us recall that today, this year, we're celebrating 150 years of the Gospel according to Spiritism. And in the very book, in 1864, at the forefront of humanity's happenings and knowledge, Spiritism talks about depression. Not with the name depression, but with the name melancholy. At Kardec's time, in Paris, France, depression was not used to define the state of mind that we mean nowadays. It was expressed as melancholy. Melancholy, there's a whole message in very chapter 5 about this. It talks about the fact that we should really make efforts to overcome it. Otherwise, it's really going to block our will. So true, so important. But what is depression? How do we get out of it? What do we do? These and many other questions will be answered here today at Kardec Radio. In the meantime, you have always an opportunity to talk to us, ask questions, make your comments, either by calling 858-769-4705 or by writing to us at kardecradio.com, in which we have a contact form, and we'll be very happy to listen from you. Right now, to kickstart the program, would like to share with you a message received by Chico Xavier, and the spirit author is May, and the message is joy. You can find the message in the book and CD, Enlightening Messages. You can go to the website of the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, www.ssbaltimore.org, to buy your very copy. It's a great gift in this Christmas season.
Joy. Joy is the song of the hours when God caresses your passage through the world. Everywhere flowers bloom as smiles of nature, and the wind combs the field's hair with resting music. The water from the fountain is liquefied care in earth's heart, and the small golden grain of sand is a message of joy from the ground. Do not allow, therefore, that your difficulty transforms itself into numbing sadness for others, even if everything appears to conspire against the happiness that you await. Lift your eyes to the smiling face of life that envelops you, and bolster joy wherever you go. Bless and serve always, even among tears. The rose, although subjugated by thorns, still offers its perfume, and sunrise awaits generously for the night to finish in order to renew itself. Daily, in a party of love and light.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Getting to the Light, Spiritist Therapy for Discarnate Spirits is a small book that offers guidance to Spiritist practitioners and Spiritist counselors. Purchase your copy at www.ssbaltimore.org.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on a previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.ssbaltimore.org www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereda. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. They will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews, Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in to Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
Welcome, dear listener. We are here talking about healing from depression. Depression is a mental illness. Yes, it is. It is a mental illness when, of course, diagnosed medically speaking. So we really need to pay attention to it and prevent it. There are ways to prevent it, and there are ways also to heal from it. But we would say, first and foremost, we'll only understand how to heal it when we understand ourselves. So first of all, who are we? We are souls, spirits incarnated in the physical body. That means that there is a mental body, spiritual body, a physical body to be treated. The physical body is just the last thing. So if you go have depression and simply take a medication, very hardly you're going to heal. Why? First, because scientifically these medications are not truly appropriate for all and every case. They serve for some cases, but not every case. You need to combine with other therapies because the root of depression is not in the physical body. It is in the mind, but in the mind of the spirit who has been living for many lives, not only about this life. So we need to go through psychotherapy. We need to do physical therapy in the sense of going to the gym and also eating healthy and at the same time meditating, doing therapeutic visualizations and spiritual care. besides the physical care in terms of medication. But before you go to extreme medication, go to alternative medicine. Why? Because, dear listener, as a neuroscientist myself, I know that science is growing and developing and we respect it. But when we talk about depression, there are so many things that are still not well understood. What we know is that if we ask about the definition of depression, if you go to the website of the National Institute of Mental Health in the United States, NIMH.nih.gov, you can type in the search depression, and they have a whole page about it. And it defines for us what it is. They say, everyone occasionally feels blue or sad, but these feelings are usually short-lived and pass within a couple of days. When you have depression, it interferes with your daily life and causes pain for both you and those who care about you. Depression is a common but serious illness. Many people with a depressive illness never seek treatment, but the majority, even those with most severe depression, can get better with treatment. Medications, psychotherapies, and other methods can effectively treat people with depression. So we're talking about something that is longer lasting and that is affecting our lives. Let's say you loved going to the movie theater and now you lost your interest. You loved being around the people whom you love and now you lost interest. You lost your sex appetite. You lost even the willingness to eat, because eat is so much survival. If you feel like not eating, it's a sign of depression too. And the opposite can be a sign of depression, like eating a whole lot, excessively. There are many signs and symptoms, and we need to talk about them. I'm going to give you a list according to the science behind it in the website of the National Institute of Mental Health. Persistent sad, anxious, or empty feelings. Feelings of hopelessness or pessimism. Feelings of guilt, worthlessness, or helplessness. Irritability, restlessness. Loss of interest in activities or hobbies once pleasurable, including sex. Fatigue and decreased energy, difficulty concentrating, remembering details, and making decisions, insomnia, early morning wakefulness, or excessive sleeping, overeating, or appetite loss, thoughts of suicide, suicide attempts, aches or pains, headaches, cramps, or digestive problems that do not ease with treatment. A list and a combination of these symptoms and signs will actually lead a professional to let us know, diagnose it, okay? Don't diagnose yourself just by going through. But if you hear this list of signs and symptoms and you think, I probably match, please go find help. Because if you don't find help, you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting everyone in your life as well, okay? Now, who is usually at risk when we talk about depression? Usually the people who are at risk are those who have major depressive disorder, okay? And in the United States alone, 6.7% of adults have major depressive disorder, okay? Women are 70% more likely than men to experience depression during their lifetime. Non-Hispanic blacks are 40% less likely than non-Hispanic whites to experience depression during their lifetime. And the average of the onset of depression is around 32 years of age. And there is depression also in younger ones, like between 13 and 18-year-olds. science points out to the direction that 3.3% of them have some form of seriously debilitating depressive disorder. It's really debilitating. That's why we really need to know more about it. I talk a lot about this with my students, and I keep informing the public around because many people go through this and they're not aware that there is a treatment. There is a diagnosis. There is a way out of this. Douglas Bloch, the author of the book Healing from Depression, is one of the people who went through the very pathway of depression, came out of it, and started helping many people. He'll be here with us in a few more 30-some minutes because he's in the West Coast. We're waiting for him to connect with us in 30-some minutes. So in the meantime, we'll keep informing you about what science says regarding depression, okay? You can send your questions at Blog Talk Radio in our chat room, or you can also ask your questions, make your comments by calling directly our toll-free number 858-769-4705. Well, when we talk about diagnosis, we need to know that depression sometimes with other diseases, okay? It's what we call comorbidity. So, for example, some people have, other disorders like anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, panic attacks, social phobia, generalized anxiety disorder, and it can be combined with, accompanied with depression. People who drink alcohol or go through substance abuse or dependence, they can also have depression, okay? Research shows that mood disorders and substance abuse commonly occur together. And depression may occur with other serious mental illnesses such as heart disease, stroke, cancer, AIDS, HIV/AIDS, diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and others. So we need to pay attention because depression is something that can be coexisting with other disorders too. What are the possible causes? In scientific terms, it says could be genetic, biological, environmental, psychological. Okay. Brain imaging technologies such as MRI have shown that brains of people who have depression look different than those of people without depression. The parts of the brain involved in mood, thinking, sleep, appetite, and behavior appear different. But these images do not reveal why the depression has occurred. So, usually science cannot tell us 100% why it has. In families, usually there is a history of depression, or it could be like a trauma, loss of loved one, a difficult relationship, stressful situation. Stress, chronic stress can lead to depression too. So we would say, dear listener, what are the spiritual, causes of it? Now we're talking about something that is broader. We are millennial spirits. We have lived many lives. Think about this. Our previous lives. What is the likelihood that we made mistakes in previous lives? Very high. It's very likely that in previous lives we made mistakes that we regret. Unconsciously, it's all there in our minds, but we can't recall. Okay? It's hard to recall spontaneously. So deep inside, that guilt remains. And that can lead us to depression in another lifetime. So that's why inner knowledge, self-knowledge is healing. Well, we can't be afraid. Because usually people are sleeping as they are awake. What do I mean? Robert de Hoop was very wise when he diagnosed that our society, majority of people, are still sleeping. They are in this unconscious sleep state of the mind. They are not paying attention to lives events, to their life events, to themselves, to the ones around. They're just leading their lives like, I eat, sleep, work, have sex, go to bed. That's it. I don't do much more than that. No different than animals in many ways. And in that regard, whatever we have done in previous lives remains inside of us, very vivid, and it's going to pulsate. And whatever is happening around us can trigger that feeling of regret. But not only regret, anger. Anger can be also a trigger. And I'm not saying to be angry because the coffee, burned our finger. No. We're talking about relationships that are difficult, they're toxic, and they create, a lot of anger, a lot of stress, whether at work, in our families, etc. So we're talking about also obsession, spirit obsession. Spirits can sometimes and oftentimes come and, demand our change. And they start creating lots of impediments in our lives. And later, we can develop depression as well. Depression as a consequence of spiritual obsession, as we call in Spiritism. Lots of things for us to think, right? Things that probably you never imagined. And what we have for you is there is a way out of it. There is a way out of it. Okay? What we need to do is to be fully aware about what is happening inside, meaning feelings. If I am not good at talking about my feelings, at dealing with my feelings, at getting to know about my feelings, more likely than not, I will be going through depression. Okay? It's very likely. Because if I try to repress them or put them aside, they start eating us up, inevitably. So we're going to give a short break, dear listener, and we'll come back with some other explanations on the spiritual and scientific parts of depression. And soon, Douglas Bloch is going to be here with us. The reason he's not here yet is because he is 3 hours away from us. He's in California, and he is going to be here with us very, very soon. So after this break, we're going to keep sharing with you the spiritual scientific take on depression.
We will return to our program after these messages.
New release, Liberation. In this compelling narrative, Andre Luiz emphasizes the work of high-order spirits in the effort to convert the spirit Gregorio to the good, an effort that culminates with the unforgettable re-encounter with his mother, herself a highly evolved spirit, wherein he surrenders to the irresistible call of love. The book also contains information on how unhappy spirits act as they try to involve incarnates in their wiles. The spirit author tells of the intercession of high-order spirits on behalf of human beings, demonstrating the divine compassion that grants to all the blessed opportunity to free themselves by means of study, labor, and persevering service in the practice of the good. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Want Spiritist books for your children? At Edicei of America, you will find a collection of them. From the best-selling book, Our Father, in which the Spirit Mei Mei through Chico Xavier brought countless poems, stories, and folk tales based on the Lord's Prayer, to the beautiful and educational collection by the author Adelison Sales on Back to School and many others. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand sections of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website, www.kardecradio.com.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
Spiritism for Everyone is the live web study meeting and educational program of the United States Spiritist Council. This year, in commemoration of the 150th anniversary of the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Spiritism for Everyone program will present an in-depth study of this remarkable book. Join us every Wednesday evening through the web from any computer or mobile device, no matter where you are in the U.S. Spiritism for Everyone is free, open to all, and requires no registration. For more information, go to www.spiritist.us.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we are back here and we are talking about depression and how to heal from depression. As we said before, if you find yourself in need of help, please go ask for help, because if you don't, you're going to hurt not only yourself but people in your life. And if you by any chance hear anybody saying, I think life is not worth living, don't take it for granted, because there is a sign that this person is suicidal. In psychology, we don't take it lightly, because people don't say they want to quit their lives just because they must have some form of depression, and we have to help them out. Okay? So living with depression can be very debilitating, so we would recommend there are many ways. Science is telling us day in, day out that if you meditate, mindfulness meditation, do therapeutic visualizations, you can heal from depression. Look at the history of the famous Rachmaninoff, Sergei Rachmaninoff, who is the name in romantic classical music. He had a history of depression. He healed with therapeutic visualizations, types of guided imagery. And why wouldn't we also go through that route if science is already proving to us that there is a way to heal from depression by doing meditations, visualizations, etc. Okay? So we would say it's very important to pay attention to these signs and not go only, taking medication, that's it. Remember, as we are multidimensional beings, we have to have a multidimensional approach. The spiritual approach is inevitable. People who pray, they can heal themselves. People who do meditation, who do visualization, you also need to take care of your physical body, giving proper food. Eating too much grains, carbohydrates, can trigger depression as well. So you need more fruits, vegetables, and also decreasing the amount of meat. Dr. Dean Ornish tells us day in, day out about the possibility of healing from several different disorders by going plant-based. Okay, meaning no meat. All right? Because we're going to decrease inflammation. Inflammation in the body can trigger a lot of cascade of events, a cascade of events that can trigger depression as well. We're talking about scientific approach as well. So we would say, get to know yourself. Don't be angry by the possibility of getting to know yourself. You need to do that inner journey. And by the way, when we talk about inner journey, Joana de Angelis, through the medium Divaldo Franco, offers two beautiful CDs, Inner Journey and Health, which can be found at the website of the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, and you can buy those CDs to start your healing today. Thank you so much, Abby, for writing to us. Abby Sher from Baltimore, Maryland. She is writing to us saying, thank you for this. Also, people get depressed around the holidays. There is always hope and answers. Lots of dual diagnoses. It's so true, Abby. Nowadays, as family gatherings happen, the end of the year also causes in people lots of reflection, lots of, thoughts, and especially the weather. If we are in colder parts of the country or in the world, we also may be resenting the seasonal type of depression as well. So we need to find help. Today, stand up, take your phone, make a call. Call to a friend, call to a family member, call to a professional that you trust, and say, I need help. Please help me. I don't know how, but I need help. Okay? And we're saying this because we're saving lives. At Kardec Radio, we're also committed to this ongoing campaign to stop suicide. And one of the ways is really to take action. In cases of depression that have a tone of suicide, we really need to be proactive. We can't say, oh, he or she is an adult, they know better. No, they don't know better. You know why? Because psychologically, physiologically, and spiritually, we may not be functional. People, when they commit suicide, they don't know what they are doing, because if they knew, they wouldn't do it. Their brains were not functioning properly. All right? And also spiritually, they were probably induced to commit that mistake. So they were not knowing what they were doing. That's why we need to raise awareness. And people very rarely will get out of depression on their own. They need some form of help, either from books, people, CDs, professionals, but there must be a network of help in that regard. So, are there other ways that we can also heal depression spiritually? Yes. We said prayer. Pray in your house. Dear listeners, think about, what do you do when you go to your house? Our homes must become a temple. Not a temple of hypocrisy. No. A temple of inner cherishing of God. How? It depends on what you do. If you come home and you curse, if you go home and you start, you don't take care of your house, you don't clean it. If when you go home, you also don't pay attention to the programs you are watching on TV, the books you read, the magazines you read, you are building a setting that is, predisposing yourself to depression. So think about, declutter your closets. When we have too many things, it also creates these unsettling feelings in our minds. And energetically, it's not good either. There is a book that Chico Xavier psychographed. It's still in Portuguese, and we apologize. We're going to quote, inevitably, we're going to quote from it, but it's in Portuguese. It's titled Voltei, which in English would probably be I Came Back. A spirit who discarnated came back and told his story. He used to be the president of the Brazilian Spiritist Federation, and when he discarnated, he came back to his home, and he observed that there were lots of fluidic links, energetic links between the object and him. And he asked, what is this? These are our connections with the objects we have at home. Now imagine if we discarnate today. What's going to happen? We're going to be attached to a million useless things, while there are many people who probably would use them. So that also takes our energy away, because matter is not static, it's dynamic. It's just an illusion that things around our homes are there, static. No, they are actually, vibrating, connected to us as well, influencing us. The energy fields are overlapping. So we also need to learn how to live a simpler life by decluttering our homes. This season is one of the best seasons to declutter our homes. Instead of buying, do the opposite. Declutter. Give things away. Many people probably need what you have in your home. Who knows? These are things we need to keep in mind. These are things that we really need to do in this holiday season as well. In a week from today, in the United States, some other countries, we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving, an opportunity to be grateful. By the way, if you practice gratitude, you can also help healing from depression, because you're going to treat one element of the mind, pessimism. We are going to start working on positive feelings, affirmations. Very soon, the author of the book Healing from Depression is going to be here with us. Since he is in California, 3 hours away from us, he is going to be here with us, and he's going to talk about some of his books, which is actually about depression. We have here our dear friend, Karina Alice, who is writing to us. Hi, Dr. Vanessa. I always get depressed during Christmas. I get this feeling that something is missing. It's like I'm missing things and people from another time. Is this normal? You know, Karina, it's very common nowadays. I wouldn't say normal, because normality is so difficult to define. But we would say it's common that people have this feeling, of melancholy around Christmas. How many lives have we lived? Christmas. Probably many in these last 2,000 years, at least. And how much story of family we have from previous lives as well. So here we have a time of the year in which we are being asked to think about ourselves. Another thing that may be happening, Karina, I'm not saying exactly with you, but with people in this season, is the fact that this is a season, especially starting, December. The spiritual traditions say that Jesus sends lots of higher angels to the earth to help people in this time of the year, because we are often thinking about Christ, etc. So there is an extra boost. No wonder we feel so great. Many people feel great. Other people feel depressed. Why? It's probably our conscience, the deep conscience, telling us there is a program for us to fulfill and we're not fulfilling it. We call it the reincarnatory plan. There is something missing. Yes. Probably in our reincarnatory plan, we promised our own selves that when reincarnated, we would be helping XYZ people, and we're not. For example, if I live in an area in which I know there are people who are poor, etc., for example, living in Brazil, and not reaching out to the poor, how am I going to be happy? Because I have a social conscience regarding the people around my life. So many people have maids, okay? And the maids live in a slum. And they don't care. They don't do anything for that person to grow better in their lives. They just say, hello, how are you? Here's your money, bye. I don't care if you starve, if you don't live well, if you don't have a car, if you don't have a decent house, if you don't have clothes for your children, etc. I just care that you clean my house and here's your money, the fair share that I think is fair. And how am I going to be happy? Never. I remember the story, true account, the spirit Humberto de Campos told through Chico Xavier once. This woman reincarnated with a plan to help kids who were at risk. So when she became a spiritist in that reincarnation, she realized, it's as if she recalled the plan. Not 100%, just the feeling, the drive to help out. So the inner drive tells us the direction. And then she started doing this outreach program. So she created a daycare, started helping many kids. At the point that when she reached 20 kids, so many people started donating that she decided to expand the work. And she said, I'm not going to admit any more kids until I finish this renovation. She had this great idea in her mind. So years went by, and one day she was in a Spiritist center, and it was her birthday, and she asked the mentors, how am I doing spiritually speaking in this reincarnation? Am I doing right? And they said, well, you were until you closed the doors to other people. 20 years went by, and here in your reincarnatory plan, you were supposed to help 80 kids. 80 kids. And you helped only 20. The other ones, many of them are already in prison, or they were killed, they were already involved in drugs, etc. That's why you're feeling this inner emptiness. Because in your reincarnatory plan, you're not supposed to help only 20. You're supposed to help much more. That's why, dear listener, we cannot listen to what people tell us. Oh, you're doing great work. You don't need to do more. You do as much as you feel like. You know why? Because at the end of the day, it's between you and God. And if you don't reach out to people, you're going to regret. The people who are praising you, they don't know better. They don't know. Sometimes praise can be so detrimental to us because we stop doing the great work, thinking that we're doing wonderful. Just keep working. That's what Chico Xavier did. That's what Mother Teresa did. That's what Gandhi did. Don't listen to what people say, because if you have to walk 100 steps, don't walk 2 and think, oh, it's wonderful. Walk 100. All right? So, Karina, we would say there are many things that may be happening this holiday season. One thing we can say, spiritually speaking, it could be our inner conscience telling us that something is missing. Meaning, we're not committed to our reincarnatory plan. We needed to investigate deep inside through a prayer, through meditation, through visualizations. We can get clear direction about what we are missing. Dear listener, we're going to give a short break. When we come back, there is more. Very soon, in a few minutes, Douglas Bloch from Healing from Depression is going to be here with us.
We will return to our program after these messages.
Getting to the Light, Spiritist Therapy for Discarnate Spirits is a small book that offers guidance to Spiritist practitioners and Spiritist counselors. Purchase your copy at www.ssbaltimore.org.
Nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
If you missed out on any previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Help prevent suicide by reading and sharing these books with others. 2 great books are available to help in this Kardec Radio campaign to prevent suicide. Suicide, All You Need to Know, by the international Spiritist speaker Richard Simonetti. You can buy your copy at www.roundtablepublishing-uk.com. Also, Memoirs of a Suicide by the medium Yvonne Pereira. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
Kardec Radio, live every Saturday at 11 a.m.
Kardec Radio now offers more programs during the week and weekends. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can follow the beautiful program God at Home with Francisca Kranz and the British Spiritist community. They will brighten your days by doing a God at Home meeting wherever you are in the world, while teaching you how to do the same in your own home with your family and friends. Every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will hear incredibly inspirational Spiritist talks directly broadcasted by Spiritist Network. There will be true educational moments to carry out to immortality. Every Saturday, live interviews, Bridging Health and Spiritism with the host Dr. Vanessa Anceloni. You may ask questions to the interviewed guests by calling 858-769-4705. And every Sunday, tune in the Spiritist Awareness at Kardec Radio. You will hear a series of segments on a diversity of Spiritist topics. Kardec will broadcast the Spiritist Moment with Kirsten DeMello, the reading of the Spiritist book by John DeRosa and Steve Shepard, Spiritism in Your Life with Drs. Marco and Joyce Magalhães, Spiritism and the Gospel with Luis Sergio Marotta, Spiritist Education for Youth and Children with Bernadette Leal, Spiritist Music with James Marotta, Neuroscience and Spiritism with Dr. Vanessa Anceloni, and many more segments coming soon. Enjoy it all and nourish your soul with Kardec Radio.
And now we return to our program.
Dear listener, we're here to talk about healing from depression. In a few minutes, Douglas Bloch is going to be here with us at Kardec Radio. And we want to let you know that there is a lot of Spiritist literature that can be helpful also to you. In the Gospel According to Spiritism, there is this very message, melancholy, that talks about, it's a message received from a spirit, Georges, who talks about the very feeling of depression. At Kardec's time, they called it melancholy. Okay, so depression, melancholy. Of course, melancholy nowadays is defined as a different thing, but we can refer to depression when reading that message. It talks about that feeling of longing, and it says, don't waste your time feeling that way. Like, I'm missing something. You know, some people, they play music and they start like, oh, today I'm just melancholic. I'm going to spend my day. Don't do this. Why? The spirits say, you're going to be weaker in your will. And if our will is weaker, we are weaker too. So you don't go there. Don't cherish this melancholic feeling. It doesn't serve anything. It doesn't have any purpose. So we would recommend that you read good books. And also, the greatest therapy, to tell you the truth, is reaching out to others who are suffering more than you. Some people say, oh, the day I heal, then I'm going to help. It doesn't happen that way. You will heal when you start helping people. Okay? That's how the order of events is such that you heal as you help people out. There is no other way, dear listener. There is no other way. Either we are proactive helping others or we're going to fall ill. We will fall ill. Right now, we need to think about the opportunity that we have of reaching out. What do you do? Where do you start? You start from where you are. You know, there are several organizations around the world that are there for you to help. If I live the life of a selfish person, only thinking about myself, my needs, my this, my that, of course I'll be depressed because the life is so encapsulated in the me, the I. I need to expand it and know about people's lives as well. So working on self-improvement is a great way, inner knowledge. Listen to this message by the Spirit André Lewis, and soon after we're going to open the line to talk to Douglas Bloch.
Ten Commandments for Self-Improvement, André Lewis. Number 1. Decrease your needs and increase your concessions. Number 2. Intensify your work and reduce the share of wasted time. Number 3. Elevate your ideas and repress your impulses. Number 4. Release the present individual in you towards Jesus and imprison the one of the past that still lives in you. Number 5. Watch your gestures and understand the gestures of others. Number 6. Persevere in the noble study, recognizing in life the sacred school for our ascent to God. Number 7. Judge yourself and forgive indiscriminately. Number 8. Speak with humility, listening intently. Number 9. Meditate constructing and pray serving. Number 10. Trust in the eternal love and fulfill your daily obligations that He assigned to you.
Dear listener, we are just listening to the message 10 Commandments of Inner Improvement. And here we are. Finally, we got hooked with the author of the book, Healing from Depression, Mr. Douglas Bloch. He is here with us at Kardec Radio. Thank you so much, Douglas, for being with us at Kardec Radio today.
Thank you so much.
You know, you have a personal story about depression. What exactly happened? What would you like to share with the listeners regarding what happened to you and how you stepped out of it?
Right. Well, you know, 1 out of every 8 Americans experiences depression at some point in their lives. And my depression, I had it when I was 18, 26, 33, and then again at 47. And the last depression I had, which is at 47, was really bad. It was called agitated depression. I wasn't just depressed. I was also anxious. So I had this feeling like there were ants in my pants. I couldn't sit still. I paced back and forth, and I wasn't able to. Eventually, I had to quit my job. I wasn't able to work. And it got so severe that I had to go into the hospital twice, in November of 1996, and then again, actually in September of 96 and November of 96, 2 different stays in a psychiatric hospital. And when I got out, I really wasn't any better because antidepressants, which are the way that people often treat depression didn't work. And so I had to go to a day hospital where I basically was every day from 9:30 to 3:30. I would be driven to this clinic, and I would go do groups and individual therapy, and I would meet with a psychiatrist and take medication. It was a structure, kind of like going to school, because if I were on my own, I'd be so agitated I would start to pace and get out of control, and then I would start to think about killing myself, because when you're in that level of distress, you just want out. So, and so that was going on for about 9 or 10 months, and everything was not working. And then one day, I got a call from the minister. I belonged to a metaphysical church in Portland called the Living Enrichment Center. I had been quite active in the church. I'd written some books on affirmations and spiritual philosophy, like the one we just heard, the Ten Commandments that you just had on the radio. And they knew that I was suffering, so the minister asked me to come to her office on July 14th, it was 1997, and bring with me my wife and my best friend and my psychiatrist and social worker, and they were going to bring the ministers and the prayer team in their church. And the whole idea was to get a group of people together that would focus on my healing and see if the collective group energy would do the trick, would do what individuals had not been able to do on their own. And so when I got there, I created what was called a vision statement of wellness. It was a bunch of affirmations strung together like, with help from God, I am reborn to a new life. I've learned the lessons this anxiety and depression can't teach, and I am fully healed. My brain is balanced, et cetera. Just a string of affirmations, and they all decided to focus on this for the next 30 days at 9 a.m. every day. They were going to read this. It was like absent prayer. And within 72 hours, I noticed that when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't as agitated, and I didn't feel quite as despairing. Within a week, I actually felt well enough I could go on a hike with a friend. Within 2 weeks, I was actually almost feeling like I had a day without agitation, and within a month, I had virtually no symptoms. So in short, I went through this, 10 months of a hellish depression and was healed by some sort of a spiritual force coming through these group of people. And after that, for the last 15 years, I have had a kind of a ministry where I've gone out and run support groups, written some books like Healing from Depression, started a website and a YouTube channel where I've been trying to give people some very basic coping strategies, body, mind, and spirit, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual coping strategies, so they can work with their depression until they get better, because my basic belief is that this condition is treatable, even though it may take a long time, and even though it may not happen exactly, like a straight shot. You may have to basically found until you get better. There's no magic bullet. There's no magic pill. There's no magic cure for something like depression or bipolar disorder or anxiety or schizophrenia. Any of the severe mental health disorders, we're not at a point yet in medical science that we can actually, it's not like my best friend who rides bicycles with me. He got a hip surgery, hip replacement. He was 62, had arthritis in his hip, and then 7 weeks later he's back on his bike with no symptoms. It's not that cut and dry. You can't replace a broken brain like you can a broken bone, or replace a hip or replace a knee. The brain is a lot more complex than the hip or the knee, or even the heart. You can have a heart transplant, but you can't have a brain transplant. So it becomes in the realm where you have to use medicine, but you also have to use what I call lifestyle habits and spirituality. So that's what I learned from this depression, which is that you have to go about treating it using a holistic body, mind, and spirit approach, and that's what I've been teaching ever since I had that episode 17 years ago.
That's marvelous. And Douglas, nowadays so many people are getting to depression. From your perspective as a counselor, as an expert too, why do you think this is happening?
Well, like anything else, I think it's always a combination of things. I think, first of all, we live in very stressful times. A lot of change in the world. A lot of communities that used to be around, you don't have the old small town where you'd go to the same church and you'd go to the same store and you knew everybody and everybody knew you. And people live in big cities. It's impersonal. And I have 3 pillars of mental health recovery. They are set the intention to heal, which means have a strong desire to get better. Reach out for support is the second pillar, and use a combination of mutually supportive therapies to treat your symptoms. That's the third pillar. And so the second pillar has to do with reaching out for support. And I've come to learn that social support, being connected to other people, having community, having love, having some sort of a sense of loving connections with others is important to mental health. It's essential to mental health. And because people are so mobile in America, especially, and things are so fragmented, we've lost that. So I think a lot of people feel isolated and alienated, and I think that's one of the causes. The other is that we just have much better reporting tools, and so I think there was always a lot of depression in the world, but people just didn't diagnose it. So I think we're finding it better, and I also think there's less community and connection, and so people feel more isolated.
Yes, that's for sure. So I know in your website, and people can go there, healingfromdepression.com, you have so many resources there. You have lots of e-books for people that really tailor around specific issues, from the child who is depressed to the depressed partner and the depressed friend. It's fascinating. I just want to ask you, I know you went from being, a victim of it to being so proactive, reaching out to people. What exactly happened for you to reach out to people?
Well,
besides your own history, because not everybody who goes through depression, becomes good at reaching out to people.
You really have asked, Vanessa, the critical question. And I wish that I could give a really simple answer, but the fact is that a lot of people, like you say, don't reach out, and they isolate. And I have a personality, I don't know where I got it from, that that connecting with other people I find is helpful and for me. And so it just makes sense to me to reach out instinctively, because I find that's what takes away the pain. Like, for example, when I was pacing back and forth, having my anxiety attacks, sometimes even violently hitting myself and just being like literally a madman. If a phone call would come in, and I pick up the phone and I hear a voice on the line and start to talk to somebody, I immediately felt calm, and that talking to that person gave me a focus, which immediately took my mind and my attention away from my distress. And the more I talked with the person on the phone, the better I felt. If I took a pill, it made like a tranquilizer. It might take 20 minutes for it to get going, but if someone calls me or someone walked in the room, I almost immediately calmed down. So for me, connecting to people was a source of, healing. And I'm just someone who's always kind of done that, where other people, especially when they're depressed, they feel like, well, sometimes people, like one of my good friends, one of the reasons she gets suicidal is, and by the way, I want to let you visitors know that after this conversation, I'm going to an event today. It's Survivors of Suicide Day from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's all over the country, the third Saturday of the month, November 22nd. They're having events in almost every city where people who have lost people to suicide are gathering. My old roommate, who I lived with for 3 years when I was separated from my wife, he died in 2010. My therapist, during my episode, 96-97, she took her own life. So I'm going to be going there. And so, one of my good friends who tried suicide once had this belief that the world is better off without me, Now, I mean, that is really an irrational, crazy belief. When people get really depressed, they think that they're a burden to people. I never felt that. I felt like, that I knew I was a good person. That I knew if I could get better, I could be helpful. So I didn't really think I was a burden. I just wanted to get better. So I just was more naturally able to reach out than other people. But I tell my clients this: you must resist the tendency to isolate. Even if you don't feel like reaching out, you still need to call somebody or go to a psychiatrist or go to a counselor or let your wife or husband and friend know. You've got to basically, tell people what's going on, because when you isolate, that is completely counterproductive, and because then you've just got yourself and your own thoughts, and your own thoughts are not realistic. When you're severely depressed, you're not thinking realistically. You're thinking I'll never get better. I'm doomed, which is not true, because everything must change. Nothing stays the same forever. So if you just have your own counsel, if you're just listening to your own thoughts, you're going to get misled. So you have to have the outside person, the outside perspective. So that's why I run groups, because when people are in community and I assign people to talk to each other in between the groups every week, no one's isolated. Everybody has a buddy to talk to reach out to when they're feeling bad. That is critical.
And in your website, so comprehensive, it has one tab about self-care, which is quite fascinating. It talks about from physical self-care to mental, emotional self-care, and social support, spiritual self-care. And you have also the reprogramming of the mind through affirmations. Can you tell us about the power of affirmations, please?
Yeah. One of the reasons I was able to get help at the Living Enrichment Center is because I had written a book, which is one of my favorite books. I was listening to your the radio while I was waiting to get online, and I noticed you guys use affirmations. And I have another website which I didn't tell you about. It's really simple. It's called affirmationsheal.com. Maybe you can list that on your website. And there I talk about why I wrote my book called Words That Heal, all about affirmations and why I feel they're such a powerful tool. Because affirmations are just positive self-statements of truth that, when repeated over and over again or focused on, fill the mind with true, positive, and healing statements and beliefs. And there's an old saying that whatever the mind can believe and conceive, it can achieve. So our minds are like, like computers that, what you put in, you get back. And what you put your attention on expands. So affirmations are a wonderful way to put your attention on the goals you desire, on what you would like to have happen in your life. And on my website, affirmationsheal.com, I have a very simple 7-step process, which I wrote about in the book Words That Heal, which talks about how you can take any subject or any goal and create an affirmation out of it. And also what to do if the negative voices of the subconscious come up and try to get in the way and sabotage the affirmation. So they're very simple and very powerful tools. And as I said, I wrote a book called Words That Heal long before I wrote my book Healing from Depression.
Right.
I really believe in affirmations quite a lot.
It's amazing. It's great website, affirmationsheal.com. We're just looking at it, and it's simply wonderful. I mean, the list of ebooks you have is fascinating. The power of positive talk in regards to educating children, it's really, really amazing. Now, can you also tell us about the spiritual self-care? You briefly mentioned that it was through that pathway as well that you got healed from depression. Since the Kardec Radio, we have a community that is, deeply searching for spirituality. What would you like to share with us regarding the spiritual tools that were effective to you?
Well, I got a little chest cough here in Oregon. What city are you guys in?
We are in Virginia, nearby Washington, D.C., the metropolitan D.C. area.
We got a lot of rain here, and it just started raining. And there's been a kind of a bug going around, so I got it. So that's why every now and then I cough. But anyway, getting back to your question.
No problem.
You know, I have a lot of friends in recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I really like this idea. They talk about the 11th step is seek God through prayer and meditation. So those are two really important tools. And meditation, of course, is just getting the mind quiet. And I wrote another book, which is on my Affirmations Heal website, called Listening to Your Inner Voice. And that says it all. Basically, I believe that each of us has a source within us of a spiritual source, a source of wisdom and of power and of knowledge and of guidance. And if we can just quiet our minds, still our minds, and like they say in Psalm 46, be still and know that I am God. If we can just do that and set the intention that our divine mind is going to reveal to us whatever we need to know that will help us on the spiritual path, and we set that intention and we quiet our mind, we'll start to get promptings and little messages or little inclinations that will help us, deal with whatever questions, problems, or challenges we have. So that's a very, very powerful tool, just getting quiet and going into meditation. And then, prayer is, meditation is like listening and prayer is like asking. Again, I'm a real big believer in setting intentions. So you put out, hey, I'm, higher consciousness, I'm really stuck in this area. I'd like some solutions. And I remember one of my favorite New Thought ministers, Reverend Ike, once said, prayers are answered in ideas, or answered prayers come in the form of ideas, which means that you'll get, as they say, a prompting or an intuition, and you should follow those, even if they don't make logical sense, because they're almost always right.
That's so true. Now, I know we need to wrap up here for to let you go as well. Douglas, what would you like to share for those who are listening to us around the world at Kardec Radio and either have they are undergoing treatment for depression, or they thought that they probably have to take action? What would you like to share as your final comments with them?
Yeah, we can stand a little bit longer. I don't have to leave till 9:30, or it's 12:15 your time, right? But anyway, yes, in answer to your question, here's the most important thing I can say. Never, never, never give up. Or to put it in the affirmations, always, always, always hang on there. There is always hope. I have seen people come to my group who were so depressed they hadn't gotten out of their couch in 3 months, and 12 weeks later they were starting their own business. I've seen people who've come out of the hospital who just attempted serious suicide, and a year later were married and happy and back in life. I have seen people resurrect themselves. I have seen the Phoenix Rising, which is the name of my team that I use when I raise money for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I have seen people rise from the ashes. This is a treatable mental health disorder. It's not curable. It doesn't go away forever. You always have to manage it. It can come back. People can have relapses just like in alcoholism or addiction. But it is treatable, and people can live with it, and people can manage it, and people can get better. And you always have to reach out. If you haven't tried, if you've tried 50 things that haven't worked, try the 51st. You never know what's going to turn the tide. I never believed for a minute when I walked into that, minister's office on July 17th that within 72 hours I'd start to feel better. I just gave it a shot, did my best, was open to healing, and it came. So try stuff. Be open to to anything that will help you, and hang in there, because you are going to get better.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Douglas. We really want to have you back since you have so many ebooks, lots to share with us. Would invite you to come back at Kardec Radio to have like a longer period of time talking about the other aspects, and the other elements as well that you have been covering in your works. So thank you so very much.
I list the healingfromdepression.com and Affirmations Heal, and then people can go. I also have a YouTube channel where I've made videos about all this. If you just go to YouTube and type in the words Douglas Bloch, B-L-O-C-H, author or whatever, all my videos, I have about 60 videos I've created on all these different tools that you mentioned that are on the website, because a lot of people like to learn through watching videos. So just YouTube and type my name. But I really appreciate your giving me the opportunity to share this with your leaders, with your listeners, because I have been to hell and back. I've suffered a lot, and all I'm trying to do is take the lessons I have learned through my suffering, share with other people, so they don't have to suffer as much as I did.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch with you. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I wish you and your listeners and your radio great success, prosperity, and happiness.
Thanks. So, dear listener, I know we wanted to hear more from Douglas Bloch, but I assure you we'll find a way to have him back here talking about so many resources he has been making available to people who need to heal from depression. And, he said the very words, if you're open to it, you'll find a way. We don't know sometimes how, but if we're open, God will provide. We're going to give one last break. When we come back, our final moments here at Kardec Radio.
We will return to our program after these messages. Want to learn more about the ins and outs of mediumship? The book In the Realms of Mediumship by the spirit doctor Andre Luiz through the medium Chico Xavier analyzes the various aspects of mediumistic communication and mediumship. He also praises the efforts of mediums who are faithful to the spiritual mandate they received before they reincarnated, warning them about the risks of badly practiced exchanges between the two worlds. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com.
The Spiritist Magazine is a trimestral digital periodical that publishes the latest news on the Spiritist thought and the movement in the USA and worldwide at www.spiritistmagazine.com.
Spread the word. Kardec Radio, to learn more about Spiritism.
Study Spiritism online at eSpiritism. eSpiritism is an online tool to promote the study and practice of Spiritism while contributing to the preparation of Spiritist practitioners. For full access to courses, go to www.e-spiritism.org.
If you missed out on any previous shows, no worries. We have an on-demand section of all previous shows and interviews. Go to our website at www.kardecradio.com.
Emmanuel's Novels. The reputable mentor, Emmanuel, wrote a 5-book series of Spiritist novels that can truly transform your life. Starting with 2,000 Years Ago, Emmanuel delights our minds with the true account of characters that are so similar to each of us. Discover yourself in Emmanuel's novels and live better. Buy your copy today at www.ediceiofamerica.com. And now we return to our program.
Well, dear listener, we have shared a few elements here that can be helpful to anyone who is feeling depressed or who has a loved one who is under depression. As Douglas Bloch wisely said, if you're open, you'll find a pathway. The pathways are different from people to people, from person to person. So we would recommend open for help. Talk to a friend. As Douglas Bloch said, isolating ourselves is the worst. And I know it's understandable because we only have those negative thoughts. But remember, you're a child of God. You cannot quit. You can't. Because your life was given to you as a gift. So, dear listener, how about now if we say a prayer together? We usually end our programs on Saturdays with a prayer. Prayers are ways and means for us to raise our vibrations, to really raise above our own problems, find solutions, find inner peace. So let us pray together. Dear Mother, Father God, we are truly grateful for life. Sometimes everything seems so dark in our lives. We don't know the direction, the pathway, the next step. But we trust that if you created us, it is for a higher purpose. Being your co-creators, we are to progress only, and one life is not enough. There are many lives. There is so much spiritual help. Thank you for sending the guardian angels in our lives, whom in your name love us unconditionally, guide us, protect us. May they find in us open hearts, open minds, to fulfill your will, which is only love. May we open ourselves to love, because we know that we can only see what is inside of us. May we learn the divine inside of us and let it blossom. Thank you for bringing the story of Douglas Bloch. Thank you for healing him and for giving him the resources that he willingly shares with all of us, giving you hope, sharing wisdom, and reaching out to many who are suffering in this world. May all those who are suffering from depression receive a shower of healing blessings, so they can feel how much they are loved and how much they are awaited in a new, more fulfilled life. May we stay under your guidance, your protection, today and always, and so be it. Dear listener, we thank you so very much for being with us today at Kardec Radio. And we also thank those who have been with us writing and sending questions, comments next week. Next Saturday, we're going to talk about the pineal gland, the seat of the soul, as said Descartes. And Dr. George Dare is going to be here with us, disclosing the medical spiritist view on the pineal gland. It's very interesting, something that is quite fascinating. We have other programs tomorrow at 8 p.m., Spiritist Awareness, and on Wednesday, the book No Solar Home with Franziska Kranz from Germany and Mackenzie Mello from Massachusetts, United States. On Thursdays, Vanessa Shields in Seattle is broadcasting another Spiritist Talk here for you at Kardec Radio. In the meantime, dear listener, keep feeling the blessings of God always.
Thank you for listening to Kardec Radio, broadcasting live every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Email us and share your comments at www.kardecradio.com. Until next time, we wish you many blessings.